Hi, my name's Steve Morgan, and here in the background is the St. Louis Cathedral in the French Quarter of New Orleans. But I just want to share a quote with you from Groucho Marx, who said, "These are my principles, and if you don't like them, well, I have others." I can't do a Groucho Marx impersonation, but I particularly like that quote because it helps me to reflect on the principles of good practice of working with risk. And I would just like to outline a number of those principles for you now. Firstly, risk's dynamic. It's constantly changing. From one moment to the next, a person's interacting with their environment, their circumstances, and as such, our assessment of a risk is only truly accurate in that moment. And therein lies some of the problems that we have with static risk assessment type of documents and requirements. So that's the first principle, is to always remember risk is dynamic. You're constantly reacting to the situation and updating and changing your impressions as you analyse the situation you're working with. Risk can never be eliminated is the second principle. That's part of human nature. Risks will happen. However, with good practice and vigilance and good observation and good sharing of information, then we are able to minimise the risks for the benefits of everyone. Which brings me to that sharing of information. Our assessment is more accurate the more detailed different sources that we can access in order to piece together a full picture of what we're working with. Part of that analysis and that observation of those sources of information includes intuition, which has been dealt with in a separate video by myself. It's a vitally important tool and it needs to be used and treated with a great deal of caution. Having assessed and identified risks, we then have a responsibility to do something about them, and that is risk management. So the fifth principle is the importance of managing the situation, responsibility to manage what it is we've identified. The sixth is it's about working with people. Working with risk is essentially working with people, involving them. However challenging and difficult the information, the content might be, we do need to get a person's perspective on their experience. And there's a seventh principle about the wider range of people that we should be involving. Multi-agency, multidisciplinary, good teamworking essentially is going to support you to work with difficult situations, make some difficult decisions. The eighth principle is that I would say defensible decisions, the right kind of decisions. When the circumstances dictate that we need to be clear in the situations that we're working with. And by defensible, I mean being able to reason the decisions. That's not necessarily being defensive, though defensive decisions are also correct in certain circumstances. The ninth principle will be about the importance of risk-taking, and that's a theme throughout so many of these YouTube video trainings that I'm presenting, that it is important that we are always alert to the value and the importance of supporting people to take risks in their own situations, to help them to achieve what they desire, what their positive outcomes are. And the 10th and final principle that I'll present to you at the moment is confidentiality. We're dealing with people and the intimate nature of people's lives. Confidentiality is vitally important, but there will be those circumstances where risk is elevated and the threat to others is elevated, where we do need to be clear with people as to why we might need to breach confidentiality from time to time. So those are the principles I'll set out, and in the words of Groucho Marx, if you don't like them, well, analyse them a bit more closely, because I'm not going to give you others, not at this stage anyway. I could add to them but not subtract from them. These are important messages for supporting all of us to deliver best practice. And in so doing, I sign off with my usual phrase, and that's get out there and take some risks, but for the very clear, positive outcomes.